content. So welcome everybody. Super excited about this particular session on driving feedback cultures because I think so many of our companies are not very good in that department. And so excited to learn from Joseph and Amanda. They're both executive coaches. They're partners at Novus Global. Is that
Yep.
right? Novus Global. And then you're at Meta Performance Institute.
Yeah, Meta Performance Institute as well. It's just our sister company.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, I will let you both share more about your stories and introduce yourself. And I know you have a lot to teach all of us here, so super excited. Thank you so much, Joseph, who's a Sideboard member, for joining us, and his partner Amanda for being here today. So off to
Thank
you.
you so much, Ha. As Ha said, I've been at Sidebar for a year now. I'm part of the Wanderlusts group, and it has been such a joy to receive just incredible mentorship, feedback, input, care from my group, and also have the opportunity to give. And so, as I was thinking about, hey, what does the next year look like? I really wanted to contribute, give back to this organization. I'm a partner at Novus Global. We're an elite executive coaching firm serving Fortune 100, 500, and Global 500 companies. We serve professional sports teams, athletes, and senior leaders like you all to help them find out what they're capable of. I'm also the VP of Innovation and Learning Design at the Meta Performance Institute, which is a sister company of Novus Global. We train new and veteran executive coaches in our signature coaching approach. I live in Houston, the Houston area, with my wife and 5, soon to be 6 kids. Amanda?
I don't have that many children. I have 2, a 20-year-old and a 17-year-old. So Joseph, you're like staying in the thing. I'm like on my way
We're
out.
done.
It's glorious. And my name's Amanda. I am a partner also here at Novus Global. And I've been one of the first coaches to join the firm after the co-founder. And so been a part of building this thing. We're about 50 plus coaches, be 75 plus by the end of the year. And then I co-founded the institute that Joseph is leading. I'm really good at coming up with ideas and having the courage to start something. And my skill set is not one to take it where it needs to go based on feedback. So I turned it over to people to lead and run it. And it's really cool to see an idea and a baby like grow and become its own thing. So I'm very grateful to Joseph and the team for how they're leading that. And yeah, live here in Los Angeles, 2 kids. My oldest is at UCLA, so enjoying all of the fun that brings, and it's a good season. So thank you so much for letting us be here with y'all.
Yeah, we're really excited for this next hour. And here's why. Like when we come in and we serve teams or start coaching a leader, it's a very clear bullseye that we're aiming for, which is that we want to help you and your teams get twice as much done in half the time with increased satisfaction. And that last part is actually the most important part. Because if we just get twice as much done, all of you are probably like, I have enough to do. I do not need more to do. And half the time it becomes like, oh, okay. But like, we want you to love your lives going after things that you thought were impossible. That's what we're up to when we coach a team or we coach leaders. And so that's what we're bringing here today. This is one part of a larger training that we'll typically bring into an organization. And we're really excited to talk about feedback. It's one of my favorite conversations. I think you all are aware, it sounded like I saw some nodding heads when I was talking about it. Like, feedback is so valuable, and it's so often like just choked and bottlenecked in organizations. And we are here to like just try to open that up a little bit, both in the way that it's given in your organization, starting with you, and the way that it's received. And so we're going to talk about those 2 different aspects of giving and receiving feedback. And then before we really dive in, one of the things that is kind of unique to us is like both Amanda and I actually like hate just talking at people. Like what we love is participation. We love to bring, like, you have the genius in you, and we want to hear, hey, what is going on in your brains? What's the internal conversation? What are the yeah buts? What are the oh yeahs? And we want to invite that into the room as much as possible. Like, we're not sitting here as the experts that you have to like take notes and listen to and then and stay silent. So if you're at all able to, go ahead and come off mute, turn your videos on. That way we're just reducing some barriers to your participation, because that's when things get really good. Another way we talk about the work that we get to do is as a gym. Like, we don't really just get we don't grow by looking at all the gym equipment. We grow by using it. And so, hey, for the next hour, what if like you guys got under the gym equipment and you left sweaty, right? Like, what would get you to sweat when it comes to feedback? That's the invitation for the next 50 minutes together. So diving right into that, would love to hear from you all. When we talk about feedback and when we talk about giving feedback, what are some of the things that come up when somebody says to you, hey, I've got some feedback for you? What are the common occurrences that go through your mind?
Oh shit.
Great. Yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah, the brain always goes to, oh, they have something negative or constructive to share, not something positive.
Cool. What else?
Am I in the right frame of mind to receive this right now?
Yeah. Can I take this right now? Good.
That's good. Yeah, sometimes I can just be open to that. All right, here's an opportunity. Got something to learn. Let's see what I can learn.
Totally. Yeah. And I like how you're like, sometimes I can get to that mindset. Totally. And sometimes it's the oh shit.
There's
What else?
something, it's like if there's feedback to give, even if it's constructive, I did something bad. Like I think that's where the oh shit comes in.
something
Is
wrong.
I messed up. I did something bad that now I'm gonna have to hear about and learn about, and that doesn't feel good.
I feel all of the above, but at the same time, it doesn't happen so very often. So there's a part of me that says, whoa, somebody actually cares enough to say something. Let's
Yeah.
hear. So there's a little bit of surprise and excitement, appreciation.
Yeah. There's almost, and maybe even a little bit of like a finally, like, good. And then when we think about those times in our leadership where it's like, ooh, I have feedback to give, right? It's like, there's a feedback conversation and it's my job to give it. What comes up? What are some of the occurrences? Are they same, different? What do we hear?
How do I not insult someone? How do I not bruise their ego? How do I create an environment where we call it ego syntonic in psychology versus ego dystonic, but it means it's very palatable to the ego versus like an affront to the ego.
Yeah. How do I make this land? Right. Like,
Without hurting their feelings.
Or even if it's regardless of feelings, how do I make this constructive? Like, how do I find the right words that really get the meaning that I mean? Because that's my challenge, I think.
Great. Yeah.
Can I trust this person?
Can I trust them? That's a good one. Yeah.
Why trust? Why does that play into the giving of feedback?
Can I trust them to take it in the spirit that it was received, or will it be used to, against me?
Yeah. Will this come back at me? Is it? Yep. Yeah. So notice all the kind of default postures that we have when it comes to feedback, which now it becomes very predictable why cultures are not better at giving feedback, right? If what we're thinking is, oh shit, this might come back at me. I don't have the right words. This might offend. Then yeah, look at all the bottlenecks to the feedback. And so then when I think about also, we're all geniuses. We're brilliant at coming up with strategies to stay exactly the same. And to keep our complaints around, and we have some tactics or some internal conversations that disqualify us from giving feedback and disqualify us from receiving certain feedback. So what would be some of the ways that we disqualify ourselves from giving feedback to somebody?
I think
Like
maybe
excuses that we use,
Wait, say again?
like excuses that we use to not give
Yeah,
it.
there you go. That's a better way of saying it.
Oh, I interpret a little differently. I was gonna say if you're still emotional about the situation you want to give feedback on, then you're probably not in a position to provide that.
Great. Yeah, I can't give this feedback. I'm too emotional about it. What else?
If that person is in a position of power over you versus if they're, you know, below you, they're reporting to you, it might change.
Yeah, I can't give this feedback to my superiors.
Yeah, or they're in another group and you're not sure if it's going to be well received. Yeah, kind of outside your area of span of control.
And even then, I think that like it's not my place. It's not my place to say
Right,
anything.
right. Yeah.
Did they ask for it?
Yeah, they didn't
didn't
even ask
ask.
for it.
That's good.
Very nice.
Another thing I find myself saying is like, oh, you know, I'll start listing all my own things that I know I'm at fault for. Like, am I in a position to throw rocks?
Yeah, it's like, oh, hey, I'm kind of annoyed that they've been late to this meeting and I have feedback for them, but I know I've been late to some meetings before, right? Like, who am I to talk? Who am I to judge? Who am I?
Deal with the plank in my own eye instead of the speck in theirs.
Yeah, that's good. I know like even just rapport, like I don't know them, right? Can be one of the biggest reasons why I won't give somebody feedback. They're new. Like I use that one quite a bit. It's like, ooh, they're new. Like I'll give them a little bit more grace, or I'll give them more room to make a mistake without my input. And so there's that. What about receiving feedback? So say somebody gives you feedback. What are some of the ways that we dismiss it or disqualify the feedback that we get?
Maybe they didn't know the whole context, or yeah, just something about the situation was not well perceived.
Yeah, they don't know the whole story.
My
Yeah,
When I
what
don't
else?
like them.
What's that?
When I don't like them. Like, just it's like, no, not you, not you.
Well, or sometimes it's like, well, that's really not helpful. Like, yeah, you told me something, but it's totally unrelated to me, or it's like something that I can't really effectively change or do anything about. So how is that helpful?
Too, yeah, that's good.
I think about the opposite of they're new. It's like we just met, right? It's like you don't know anything about me is a piece. And then even Michelle, what you brought up is like when I get feedback from somebody that reports to me, I'm like, well, I don't have to listen to that. It can be an instinct for me. What else? Any other like ways that we dismiss feedback that we receive?
To the emotionally charged one, when it comes in a tone or way that is like demeaning as it's occurring to me or angry, it's very easy for me to tune that out a lot.
Yeah. So again, we're geniuses. And so this complaint that we have about not getting the feedback that we want, or having companies that are bad at giving feedback, it's like, look at all the strategies we deploy to make that the case. And so we want to play for the next, for the rest of this hour with what if feedback occurred to us differently? Are there some new pathways to open up the value and the resource of that feedback?
So a few of the ways to do that is we talked about how feedback might be occurring to us. We'd like to present offer just three different ways. So one way is like, it's just data. right? Like there is a looking at the mirror and is just coming back to me. Sometimes like, what is it like on the other side of me? I actually don't know. I can't see what I see. A friend, I have been at the volleyball game all day, or like, and I had stuff in my teeth, and someone at the very, very end, I'd been talking to people and she was like, you got something there. I was like, you are my friend. You care about me. You are my friend. Those other people, not my friend. You are my friend. So there is like, it's just data. So data. And then number two, it's just neutral. We don't have to judge it. When I look in the mirror, especially in the morning, I have all sorts of thoughts that are going on in my head of judgment there, but it's just a reflection back. I'm the one that's creating the meaning around it that gives it judgment. So just data, just neutral. And then it's like, if you think of a number line, so like, oh shit is like -10 as far as receiving feedback. 0 is it's just data and it's neutral. Like there's a whole other side of the number line, like the +10, because what if feedback was actually a gift? What if any feedback, no matter how it came, was a gift to us, that we could in some way leverage it for our good, our growth, what our vision is for who we want to be and who we want to become in the world and what we're up to. Okay, so that's how we want to invite you to, like, first, yes, start with the data and neutral. And then if you're up for it, more weight on the bar is moving over into feedback actually being a gift. So one of the things that we really anchor into when we're talking about giving feedback is oftentimes we don't give it because, again, to the emotionally charged piece, like we're actually really annoyed or we're frustrated. Like there is this maybe energy that is towards the feedback, and we know that it's going to come out sideways. We know that it might, like we're still actually feeling a little icky about it. Feedback is totally different. Yimin, is that how you say your name?
Yimin.
How do you say Yimin?
Mhm.
When you said like, thank you for saying that, because that shows that you are for me. We really want to anchor into feedback as a gift because it's showing that we are for the person. It's part of being a fierce advocate for their good. And so one of the things that comes up is sometimes we don't give the feedback because we haven't really anchored into being for them. So as we do that, we're going to go through some feedback tools. But before we do that, I want you to currently think of someone in your life right now who you are frustrated with. And I don't mean like you don't like them, you like not, it doesn't have to be big frustration. I actually have a big frustration, but just like you have some complaints and you're currently like, think of that person and think about what you are frustrated with, because this probably is like, this is feedback that I haven't given them yet. Okay. So think about someone that you have in your life that there is a chronic complaint, meaning it's going and going and going. You see the feedback, you want to give it, but you haven't given the feedback yet. Okay. So think of that person, maybe write their name down. Before we get into the giving feedback tools, go ahead and write down 5 things that you want for them. If you were anchoring into forness for them, write down 5 things that you want for them. This is getting our head on straight and in the right place to come with feedback, to make it a gift, for it to be from a place of fierce advocacy. It's totally different. Otherwise, it's oftentimes just my own frustration, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But I want to anchor into the forness. I'll give you a minute. As you're writing those down and as you finish, what do you notice about even that exercise, coming up with 5 things to anchor into being for the person who you have feedback for? Is it challenging? Scott, in what way is it challenging?
Well, I mean, to come up with 5 is challenging. I've come up with 3, so
Okay. Yeah. That's great. Anybody else? What do you notice as you're writing the things down of really anchoring into being for the person?
There's a sweetness to it.
Oh,
Oh yeah, Suzanne, what do you mean?
Well, it just flips things on its head so much.
Good, good. That was the desired intended result. Like there is that it should like there's a weightness of like, oh, this is a heavy weight to lift, and possibly, and it does shift where we are coming from and being for that person. Now it's not coming from a place of frustration. They're just like, I want this for them in their leadership. I want them for this in their life. Golly, if it's showing up here, it's probably showing up other places. And I wonder what the costs are and how that is impacting them. And now I'm a fierce advocate for their best, which really shifts how I'm going to come about to give the feedback. So we want to give you our way of giving feedback. So Joseph, go ahead and put up the slide. Step number 1 is anchoring into their vision. We'll get it here in a minute. Oh, sorry. I take that back. Step number 1 is asking for their permission. Why might that be important?
To make sure they're ready to receive it or want to receive it.
That's right. And even if sometimes people are like, well, it's just a given that I'm to give feedback, still asking their permission, it does offer for them to open up to receive it. And it's just a checking in. No one likes unsolicited feedback. I can take it and leverage it if I so choose, but it's usually not people's favorite. Number 2, align the feedback to their vision. So ask permission, align it to their vision. That aligning it to their vision makes it not just my opinion, but actually moves it into the realm of fierce advocacy. The example I say about this had sons. Xander, when he was around 12, 13, started to stink. And I was like, dude. And I asked him, said, hey, what's your vision for your hygiene? Like, what's the vision here? And he's like, I don't care. Like, cool. Good to know, because now I'm just a nagging mom, because it really is about me and my nose and what people think about him or whatever. So we rolled down the window for a few months. However, then all of a sudden he started liking girls. And now the vision has changed. And my feedback is a gift because it is in alignment with his vision. Now that might be silly, but think about, oftentimes people have frustrations like, this person isn't doing this in leadership. They're not doing this in leadership. I keep telling them like, well, what's their vision for themselves as a leader? Do they actually even want to be in this role? Who do they have a vision to be? Or people give me feedback. I had another one. I was like, the feedback was like that their boss the emails were very short. They're not warm. I'm like, do you really want your supervisor spending all of this time making super flowery, fluffy emails? That's actually not part of their vision. So the feedback would have been something different. So checking in and asking, what is your vision for who you want to be as a leader? What is your vision for this role? What's your vision for how you want to be showing up? In an executive way.
Yeah. What's your vision for the impact you want to have in the workplace and on the team?
That's right. Great to ask the question before you go ahead and give the feedback. Okay, number 2 or 3. And Sylvia, if you want to go ahead and just put all of them up, that would be great, and we'll run through. Number 3, make it specific, meaning nobody likes vague feedback, not helpful. So making it specific sounds like, I noticed this, like you actually did this. You said these words. That's very specific. It's not arguable. It just is. And then the 4th, use subjective language. And we coaches talk weird. And one of those ways is to say, like, as it occurs to me, what I make up about it is, I wonder about. So the person, I could be wrong, but, and this moves it into the realm of, this is what happened, but this is how it's occurring to me. This is just my occurrence. It's not how you are. Hung, if we can play with yours, it's like what gravitas, right? So somebody could say, you don't have any gravitas. I'd be like, fuck, like yes, I have gravitas. Like, look at how I show up. And right. So people can argue when you are vague and when you are just making a declaration. So it's like, it occurs to me, like when you did this, it occurs to me like maybe there might not be as much strength there or assertiveness, right? So it takes it into a different place. Then you're going to invite curiosity for the both of you, meaning you're going to have a dialogue about it. This is why I'm not a huge fan of the anonymous 360s, because you can't actually have a conversation around what's going on, because you can check in on the occurrence of the other person, because that's where the value is going to come from. So invite curiosity for the both of you, have a dialogue about it, and then make a clear request and offer a solution. So sometimes this is where we miss as leaders. Also, leaders have a complaint. It's like, because I'll ask, have you given them that feedback? And they'll say, oh my gosh, I've given that feedback like 5 times. And have you made a specific request of something that you would like them to do? It's like, no. And then that leads to the next one, which like, have you created a clear agreement?
And this is one of
yeah, go ahead, Joseph.
actually one of the key distinctions. I think oftentimes leaders will think what giving feedback is giving advice. And so they will go straight to this part without anything else, without the attachment to vision, without curiosity or like connecting it to actual happening. And so you think that what you're giving is feedback, but what you're giving is advice and offering solutions without this other priming. And so we just want to like help you all slow that down, go through these other steps, and then you say, well, yeah, like if it were me, I might try doing this. Or, hey, my request is actually, will you do this? And then you create that agreement.
Alan, kind of like what you were talking about with feedback, where they just like think about the frame and do that. That is advice. That's wisdom. That's fantastic. But it isn't necessarily, unless they were saying, hey, Alan, I'm wondering about this. You said this at the beginning of the meeting and then like this at this one, and it didn't quite land with people. So I'm wondering about the framing. What's your vision for how you want to be showing up in meetings and priming people? And then it could say, I like frame it every single time. Like, do you see how that goes and the difference? Okay. So what we want to do is break y'all into some breakout rooms where you are going to, in groups of 3, talk through the feedback. So you wrote down a name, the person that you have, and we'd like for you do not have to commit to giving the person this feedback, but we talk about shitty first drafts around here a lot. So shitty first draft with the people in your group, what that feedback could actually begin to sound like. Do you know their vision? How could you know? How could you ask? What would be the kind of subjective language that you would want to do or ask? What would be the curiosity to bring up? And is there a clear request or agreement that you would like to invite them into? So
I would invite you, as you go into the breakout room, like maybe the simplest formula for this is, here's how I think they're getting in their own way, or here's how I think you're getting in your own way, as like coming from that of the vision. Here's how I think you're getting in your own way of getting what you want, and saying it that way. Okay, we'll put you in breakout rooms. We'll be back, so 10 minutes, and then we'll be back to debrief and talk about receiving feedback.
Awesome. Will you, Joseph, Amanda, just drop maybe into the chat the questions or the prompts again? I'm going to put everybody, I think I'm going to create 4 breakout rooms. And then if you end up in a room that's unbalanced, I might move you. So I'm going to create it now.
Joseph, are we able to put it in the chat?
I'm going to, yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
And then Joseph and, yeah, are you going into a breakout room too?
No, we'll stay here.
You're going to stay here, okay. So Scott and Allison are in a room together. Amanda, Joseph, okay. I'm going to move Sarah to room 1. Okay.
I don't know that I can send it to everybody
Okay.
in the chat, but here's the screen grab of those principles, and then
I think Ka has to do it.
yeah, and then the question,
Okay.
the prompt is practice what you might say to the person down to give them their in this viewpoint.
Do you see some 4 people groups? Some maybe I should have created 5 groups, but
I think it'll be all right.
yeah.
It looks like Amanda eagerly just go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you can, I can't send it to all the breakouts, but if you could either copy
Okay.
paste that.
So okay, so let me do that. Breakout rooms, I'm gonna do broadcast and then broadcast message. So it's practice what you might say to the person you wrote down to give them their feedback. Okay. Yep. And then it doesn't allow me to do the screenshot.
Oh, I think we gave them enough of the easy prompt for them to get it.
Now Amira is back in the main room.
Welcome back, Amira.
Yeah, I got I didn't when I was in the breakout, I didn't have audio, so
Okay. Do you want me to try to put you into
Yeah.
a different room or the same room?
I think the same room. I'll try again with my audio, but it happens to me in the breakout somehow. Sometimes I don't have audio for some reason.
Okay, let's see. I think oh, I do this. Move to room. Okay, let me see how I move you back into the breakout room.
Yeah, or any room. I can't remember which room I
Okay. Yeah, because right now you're still in room 4 to me, so there was some.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
There's 2
But
of you.
I think I invited you to room 1. See if that works.
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, of course. And then I did not take time. So what?
So maybe close them at 44, because it
44,
usually
okay.
gives
I'll
usually it's a
make an
60-second.
announcement.
Yeah.
I'll make an announcement like 1 minute before too.
Mm-hmm.
So Joseph, do you take individual clients?
Yeah. So I have a roster of individual clients, and then right now I'm leading, let's say, like 4 team partnerships, and then
Oh, nice.
I'm in a couple of other team partnerships as well. So
Oh, cool.
around those 50 different coaches,
Wow. Yeah.
they have their own individual clients plus their own team organizational contracts as well.
Cool.
Yeah, it's amazing work I get to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, have you found any clients through Sidebar or no?
No. Also, like, that hasn't been part of the strategy. It's
Yeah.
like I joined Sidebar mostly after feedback I got to like go find a mentor. And so I was looking for mentoring communities, and I found this one. I was like, oh, I think this is exactly my speed. And so
Hey,
that was
yeah.
great.
And who's in your group?
Let's see. Scott Zoll. Oh, now I'm embarrassed.
Okay.
What's his last name? Zahler. There you go.
Oh,
Jeremy
yeah.
Grant. Christina, she's leaving. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Mihailoi.
Okay.
Oliver is the leader of it.
Okay, gotcha.
Let's see who else is in it. Alessandro is in it. Anupama, and then Scott is new. Scott Lavelle is a new new group member. So yeah, we've had a couple people come in and out in the year, but trying to think. Most Scott, Zaylor, me, Christina, Ala, and Anupama were there from the beginning. So,
Oh, nice. Very
mhm.
cool. Yeah. Scott
Mhm.
came to my house, I believe, when he was visiting the Bay Area.
Yeah.
I hosted him. It's the same Scott.
Yep.
Community
I
dinner.
remember hearing about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am working on trying to get I'd started a chat with our Houston members
Uh-huh.
to get an event going, and I've gotten a few people who are like, yeah, that sounds great. And then just crickets from everybody else, but I'll keep going on it.
Well, yeah, just send me like actually what I would recommend is doing a supper club because it's the easiest, which
That's-
is make a
yeah.
reservation. I
Mhm.
think you just pick the date and the time. It's too hard to poll people.
Totally,
And then we put up the event, and then we'll help you, like, I'll give you the list of like the Houston-based members, maybe even extending the invite, past Houston in case anybody wants to travel in for it. And normally you'll get like, a good group going. The
Yeah,
Bay
I
Area
was
ones, not surprisingly, they always sell out. Like they sell out so fast because
Yeah.
there's a higher concentration.
The idea I had was to just host a crawfish boil because
Oh, that's so fun. Well,
that's what we
see,
do around
yeah,
here.
exactly. Well, I would
I think I just
travel.
need to pick a date, say this is when this is going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
We can go for it.
Yeah, that's right. Like, yeah, I know Matt Galt likes to poll for dates, but I was like, look, it's a date that works for the host, and then whoever can make it can make it.
That's
like,
right.
because it's
Yeah, I think because then you're not thinking we've only got one shot. It's like just do
Exactly.
another one a couple
Totally.
months later.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you all trim the video recording?
I will. Yeah, I'll tell my editor to
because
trim it.
like nobody's gonna want to hear us.
Yeah. No, I'll trim. I'll ask you to trim it. Okay, so I'm gonna announce. Okay, 1 minute.
Yeah.
We'll close the breakout room. Breakout. Okay. Anything else you want me to put? We'll close the breakout rooms in 1 minute.
Nope.
Yep.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and then at 12:43, I'll kind of close them, and then
No,
get
it takes
60
6 seconds. Some people will just go ahead and leave, but it's great.
And I can't remember, Joseph, did you say you were coming to the summit?
No, no, I'm on Easter break with my family.
That's right, you
Be
told me that.
camping. Mhm.
Yes, yeah, you told me that. Yeah, maybe next year we'll do this session at the summit. I think it's
Great.
cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Would love to. I mean, I'm loving actually like, oh, people are talking. That's great. And it's so different in person, right? Because
Of course,
you're just
because
there.
it's captive audience. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna close the rooms now. Bring everybody back.
Bring everybody back. Hi, Sarah.
Hello.
Hi. People coming back as they close. Wonderful. Hello. Hi, Manaka.
Hello, Joseph.
How
It's
are you?
Manaka. Hey, Ha. Good to see you.
While everybody else is coming in, what was that like for you?
A question to me, Joseph?
The room, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I have the mic, so I'll just speak first. I think it was really helpful. I joined late, so I apologize. I missed some of the introductions at the beginning, but I think it was super helpful to reframe my feedback. I'm actually getting ready to give feedback to somebody I was telling in the breakout room. So this was super helpful to kind of think from a point of advocacy and actually lean into their strengths, who I need to give feedback to. And it really helped reframe. I think that will open up, their desire to hear more. So I really like that I was able to reframe and rethink on how to provide that feedback.
Perfect timing. I'm so glad that you logged on for your feedback conversation. Maybe one other person, what was it like to practice giving your feedback from a place of forness, advocacy, aligned to vision? What was that like?
I think the first several parts of it, I really felt, I felt fluid with, and maybe it became harder on exactly how to make a clear request in the situation I was going for and how to create a good agreement. Those were the parts I struggled a little more with how I was going to approach that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like work on the part of the person who's giving the feedback. Right? Like it's like not just, hey, this is what I'm seeing is wrong, fix it. And they like, you want them to carry the weight too, but there is a thinking through, this is actually what I'd really like to see, and there's some work there.
Yeah,
that's good.
One thing that maybe just in the moment occurred to me is maybe part of the creative agreement could be something like, what would be a productive way for me to give you further feedback if I'm seeing you improve or not improve?
Yeah. Can we make an agreement about how to give feedback or how I can give you feedback in the future?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, the clear request part, I could use some more micro helpers.
One thing that came up in our group, which I thought was interesting, was giving feedback to people who are not in your direct line of management, and how do you approach those conversations?
Yeah. Well, and from when we bring this into teams, we see that all the time, right? It's like, wait, hang on, but they don't report to me. I don't have, is that my job? And when we get grounded in forness, right, then we could say like, hey, everybody wants something. Everybody's trying to accomplish something. Everybody has a vision for something. And starting with your own, right? Because that's probably where the frustration comes from. It's like, I want something from this. But it's like, what if I got grounded in what they want for a moment and being for what they want? Would that open up? Would that,
how could this be a gift?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
How could this be a gift?
How could they be really grateful that I stepped out of line and gave them this feedback because it helped them get closer to what they wanted?
Anything else that comes up for y'all?
There was a recent article from Wharton about feedback being such a loaded term that if you are the asker, if you are asking for feedback, to use the word advice, do you have any advice for me? And that actually changed the quality of the feedback. I just wonder if we're working with such a loaded term that we're having to do like so much gymnastics because we're using the term feedback. Do you have any thoughts on that of changing?
I mean, yeah, I think call feedback and advice. But if you're going to give advice, just call it advice and, hey, I have some advice for you, and be clear about that. Don't call advice feedback, and don't call feedback advice. And then I think that there is a training that actually segues really nicely into this receiving of feedback. Like if we weren't like, how do we want people to relate to the word feedback? Do we want them to be afraid of it? If I can wave a magic wand, I want a high feedback culture where people are hungry for it. They're asking for it. They're wanting to take it instead of being so resistant to it. So I get that, yes, people perceive feedback in a certain way, but part of that I think is because we only do it one time a year, and these performance reviews, or we create these 360s that are anonymous because everybody's so fragile around it. So like, what if we actually helped to train people in valuing feedback, that it was a gift, we gave it in such a way that it wasn't a bad word? So that would be my response to Wharton, and give advice. But that like a way of a magic wand is that we'd actually have a different way of relating to the word feedback and feedback in general, which that might be some leadership there. And how do I, as a leader, create a culture where people are more responsive? And one of the ways you can do that is by requesting feedback yourself. Look, y'all, we don't have to be afraid of it. I can actually model what it looks like to receive feedback in a constructive and resourceful way. I can model how to receive feedback as a gift. When we receive a gift, and like, I don't know if you've ever given a gift and the person's like, you know, or like just like oh, that was my gift. Because I think giving feedback is really vulnerable. It oftentimes says more about me than it does about them. And so it is a gift, and there is some vulnerability in that. And so teaching people how to receive feedback in a way where no matter how it comes, I am going to leverage it for my growth and my good is such a superpower. So how do we give feedback well, and how do we receive feedback well? So the exercise we're going to ask you to do in leaving today is to think of somebody that you would like to ask feedback from. Maybe even that person who you are frustrated or like want to give feedback to, potentially. But think like, who would you like to ask feedback from? It's like, hey, would you be willing to give me feedback? And on a specific thing, here's my vision for my leadership. Here's my vision for how I want to be showing up in meetings. Here's my vision for how I want to be showing up on sales calls. Would you be willing to give me some feedback? How do you see me getting in my own way? I'd love to hear from you. Okay. And so in that's the giving your permission to receive feedback. You are opening the door for them to give you the gift of feedback. It's like, this is the one place to be selfish and ask for the gift. Like, can you give like our kids at Christmas, right? They give us the list. They are asking for the gift. It's kind of like that. So would you be willing to give me feedback? Give your permission. I'd love to feedback. Oftentimes after people give feedback, we just don't know what to say. It's like we want to get defensive. Our emotions are coming up. It's like, what do I say?
Or when we think about all the ways that we said we dismiss feedback, it's like, well, let me give you the context. Let me tell you what I was trying to do.
You say thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. And so that's
Sarah,
like,
right
thank
on.
you for caring about me, caring enough to give the feedback. Thank you. Thank you. That's right.
I wouldn't say they care, but I would say thank you. I will take this in consideration.
That's good. Yes. Thank you.
Well, and when we write this script, the suggestion here, it's not assuming that they care about me. They care about something.
That's right.
Right. And so it's acknowledging, hey, this, and it's one of the things that if we do this on a regular basis, it trains them to give more feedback because their care about something matters. Like, hey, thank you for caring enough to give me this feedback. Not about me, but just about something.
Whatever that is. The mission of the organization, the vision that we have together, they care about something. So thank you for caring to give me the feedback. And then it's asking this, is there anything else? A lot of times people don't like this so much, but especially when someone is giving you the feedback, oftentimes they're giving you like level 1, 2, and 3 feedback, but there really is the last 10%. And that really is what you're looking for. Is there anything else? Is there anything else? Is there anything else? Because people give the little piece of it, but there's actually sometimes things underneath that layer. And so that's just more opening up the permission. Is there anything else? And you'll find the gold sometimes very much at the end. And then it's focusing on leveraging the feedback for your own growth. What's the 1% of it that could be true? It's probably not universally true all the time. Like one time I got feedback that I was fragile. That didn't go over very well. It wasn't said very kindly. And immediately my mind went to, let me give you the 1,000,001 ways that I am not fragile. And I actually then took a step back and was like, if I was going to leverage this 1% for my growth, what is the gift here? I, from an empowered place, can actually turn this into a gift for me. And just as a caveat, there are places where somebody gives the feedback and it's like, that doesn't land at all. Thank you for giving me the feedback. And I'm going to put it to the side and let it be. And we'd like to invite into, like, if there was just 1% of it that could be valuable. And this is helpful when I'm giving feedback to someone, is like, if there was just 1% of that could be true, that you could leverage for your growth, where do you see it? How could you see it in the giving of feedback? Because it's not this universal pervasive thing. But sometimes people are more open when it's just even the little bit. And I find myself to be more open if it's just a little bit. This happens a lot of times when I'm talking with my kid, and it's like, dude, if 1% of it was true, how can you see that being true? It's like, well, yeah, there's this. It's like, great. And we get in the door a little bit. Okay. So we want to invite you into requesting feedback from someone. And if you're on a team and you're a leader, requesting feedback possibly from someone who reports to you, that's just the best. So inviting that. Joseph, anything else?
Well, Sarah had a great question, which was like, okay, if I'm practicing this and it's not, I'm not surfacing the feedback that's helpful, how could I like up the game? And here's my suggestion. And so here's the challenge to you all as you go out from here. If you're willing, put yourself on the hook to go and ask for feedback. And before asking for that feedback of how do you think I'm getting in my own way, share your own feedback to yourself. It primes the pump. It gives permission to the other person to say the thing that they might be like, oh, again, they're going to be like, I don't want to hurt their feelings. That's a thing. So it's like, if you go first and you're like, well, this is how I think I'm getting in my own way, then now what happens is it like opens up again those floodgates to where you can get the data and the gift of their occurrence, get curious about it with them, and get feedback that actually helps you grow. So I love that the process of giving feedback to yourself first as a way to get the feedback that you're seeking for yourself. Speaking of feedback, you have the QR code here. We would love to hear, hey, what was valuable? Did it actually help you? Did it move you closer to your vision? And what are some of the key takeaways? You can take a screenshot of this, and you know how QR codes work. And then, yeah, last few moments here, we'd love to hear some questions.
So I think Alan has a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in some environments where you're not getting enough feedback and you really like that, so you're trying to model it, but you're just not getting it. Have you found some good approaches that help kind of get that unlocked a little bit faster?
The more specific the request, the better the feedback. So if you can be very specific, it's like, in this meeting, what did you notice? How did you experience me? Like, what is the exact feedback? Because that gives people something to grab onto.
Again, vague feedback, vague results, right? So if what you're getting is vague like vague feedback, you go say, okay, let me lean on specificity to try and draw out what I want.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we were also, we want to add some weight on the bar to your commitment, by the way. If you're willing to go and ask for feedback from somebody on your team and you go through with it, let me know on Sidebar, chat me on Sidebar, and I will send you a copy of our book just for taking the plunge. Okay. So there's an incentive in there for you. Last minute, any other questions? It's been such a honor to be able to hold space for you all, share this really powerful tool. I'm hoping that you all apply it and start seeing differences in the feedback and addressing some of the complaints you have around feedback. And practice. It's not a one and done thing. It's applying these things over and over again and being committed to it, that's how we actually make the change in our cultures. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Lots of great stuff here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Amanda. It was incredible.
Thank you. Good. I'm so glad it was helpful.
All right, we will be in touch.
All
Awesome.
right.
Great day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. So it looks like, okay. I wasn't sure if Amanda wanted to say one or not, but that was awesome. Great job.
Thanks.
Yeah, really great job.
It was
I'll
super fun.
share
Love this
the
stuff.
feedback. I'll also drop into the thread the link to have folks share, but great framework, great discussion, and I love the interactivity. So
fantastic. Yeah, thanks for letting us do this. And I hope we can come up with some other ones for you too.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye.